episode is about to start. But in case you missed it, here's a glimpse back at episode 9. All right. It's by far been my favorite to make. There's nothing else to really say about it. I'm going to try to do more of these. I promise I am. It has to be the right tournament. Everything has to go right. All my footage got there. Everything went right for me to do this. And I only want to do it if it's right. But guys, I promise I'm going to do more of these. I've had a blast doing them. Thanks for following along. But it's not over, guys. Tournament's still going on. We got 2 more hours. And we got to see what's going to happen, because when we left, I finally got a bite. Like, we got a bite. Is it a fake bite? Is it one of those bites that leads you down the wrong path? We don't know, but we did get a bite. So we keep rolling. And we get another bite. And we get another bite. And we're thinking, oh yeah, we got this. We got this figured out. To a degree, once again though, it's the details. We're looking at the details in all this. No matter where you go when you're going down the bank and you're trying to find out the pattern, most of the time the pattern, it changes in the sense of it's impossible to go down banks that look the exact same everywhere you go. So you're always trying to like key in on certain things. Sometimes this grass would get bigger, sometimes it would get smaller, sometimes on this bank these little trees and these limbs would come out into the water. It just changed on us. Always is looking different. So we're trying to figure out how to adjust to it all. A couple other things have going on. We've seen some blow-ups or activity, I'll just call them activity, in the grass, like way on out there in the middle of the grass of like we can't even cast to it. I'm not saying they're giant blow-ups. Like if they were really big, we'd probably be out there in it messing around some more. But remember, we only have a couple more hours. We're keeping it honest. We're throwing out there in little holes and little things when we have the time. And Brent's like, man, Todd, I really wish I could throw a frog through all this stuff. I'm like, I know, but we're talking about giant football fields of grass. I mean, as far as we can see, it's impossible to cover as much water and do all that. Now, would we have done that in practice? Absolutely. We don't have that much time. So we're still steadily going along, and we're finding little pockets of fish.
Flashing around, like everything starts going haywire. I never felt that when it's on my line.
They're not pockets like what you would think of on, I'm saying like pods of them, little groups of fish here and there, and we're getting bit. And even though we're seeing that muck on the grass, the muck's not everywhere, and so that's keying us in a little bit. We start getting a couple bites more on the grass or in the grass. I even catch one in the grass that's way on out there. We're still steadily moving along. If you're gonna notice something, Brent put on a show a little bit, right? He got in a little groove where he smashed them on the swim jig and he never missed one. Like if he got bit, he was catching it. I had tied on the one that was a little like less obtrusive or natural one, just in case. But they're eating that white one like they want it. Like I said, it's gotten a little bit shallower where we're at. It's gotten way calmer. You can actually hear us now talk. We got it. It hadn't caught a fish yet, but it's there just in case we see something happen. I'm still catching them on the Chapo.
Oh, maybe, man, maybe. No.
It's catching them. I'm catching one over here.
What you got?
Catching one over there. We're still plugging along, and I start to get more and more bites. He starts to get less bites, and then he starts missing some. They're thumping it and not eating it. They're thumping it and just getting the tail. And when I say he's missing it, he's not missing it. He's not doing anything wrong. The fish are. The fish are missing his bait. Now, are they small ones? Maybe. But it doesn't really matter, because here's my thought process on that. If small ones are missing it when before they weren't as bad, then maybe a big one isn't even trying to hit it. Maybe a big one's going up to it and turning it away. So we always can't see everything that's going on out there, even though we're still fishing shallow. So yes, maybe that does matter. In my mind, it matters big time. We don't want any of them to miss it. When all of them are eating it, that's what we want. So that's kind of going through our head, but you gotta realize he's been smashing on them a lot. So, and he's still catching some. It's not like he's missing every one of them. We just don't really know, like, should he switch or should he not? It's one of those hard decisions. It's probably one of the hardest decisions in fishing to make, is to switch or not to switch, even when you're still getting bit. And then go to something that is not proven, right? Because we haven't really caught anything on a natural colored one. So that's a dilemma, and I really can't put down my Chapo because I'm getting bit so good on it. So we're in that, man, these are the decisions, these are the tough ones that you have to make. These things change within the hour. When you get really dialed in, you can really start seeing the changes hour by hour. Almost every 15, 20, 30 minutes sometimes, you can see little details, and I promise you, they're not flukes. And what I mean by that is, if something starts happening, 90% of the time, something has changed, and you can make a small adjustment. Not something crazy, just small. But Brent keeps on throwing the swim jig, still getting some bites on it. I'm throwing the Chapo. We look out over there, and that island, we're coming back up on that island, but we've got now less than an hour. And I was like, all right, we got to make another decision. Here's the decision. Do we run back through this water that we already went through? Do we try to do that? And we hate doing that. We hate doing it, especially since we caught so many. Like, I think it's better sometimes to go to new water on the chance of finding one of those dumb big ones. But we don't know how much more of this water exists, and we've got an hour left. So we weighed our chances. I don't know if we made the right decision. I still don't know, but we decided to do it anyways. But we're gonna do it way faster this time. So we run through there. Some of these places, it was crazier. It calmed down enough to where I hit them differently, in the sense of some of these I freaking like bulldozed through the grass and got up there, and I could see some of these fish. Now, the ones we were casting out, I was spooking them. They weren't big ones. I'm like, Brent, on another episode, you saw Brent get some bites and miss them. I said, dude, those were the bites you were getting. They weren't big. You're like, we're fine. But let's go through this area one more time. Maybe another one pushed up. That's the other thing. We don't know, because you're figuring this out, we don't know whether or not those fish are moving in and out of this area, like using the grass, living in the grass, and then moving up to where we're catching them, or if that's just where they live, or did we hit it the right time. So we're hoping we gave ourselves enough time, something that we can go back through this area and catch some fish. As we start going through there, we're noticing we're not getting very many bites. We still caught one or two, nothing big. As we keep going, I'm definitely not getting bit on my Chapo. That's one of those deals where it's like first come, first serve type deal. He starts getting some more of those bites that miss. And he goes, what am I doing? Why don't I just throw that jig? And I was like, I was thinking the same thing, like throw that natural one. I was like, cause I'm about to, if not. He's like, no, I'll do it. I said, okay, cool. I'll keep throwing this Chapo because I'm just looking for one. Like we don't need 5 more bites. We need one big one or something. So he starts throwing that jig around. It makes him mad because he gets bit on it, right? And he's like, golly, I messed up. I should have changed earlier. And I was like, I know, man, but that's so hard. Do you know how hard it is to go catch 20 to something fish on a this color jig and go, nope, I'm putting it down and throwing a different color? But that's what you got to do sometimes. It's even hard for us. It's hard for us sometimes to put things down and change with what's going on, even though in the back of your mind you're like, should I? And listen, other times you're wrong. Other times you think you should change and you should just keep doing what you got to do. That's fishing though. But at least try it, right? At least try it, because sometimes it just takes one. Well, once he got a bite, he had all the confidence in the world he was going to still get bit. And we didn't go through this area throwing this color, so it's a different look for him, which we both like. This tournament went pretty well for us. We didn't lose anything. We didn't miss anything that we really thought mattered. We didn't have everything go our way. The morning stuff really didn't go our way. People were on some of the stuff we wanted to start on the first morning. It hasn't gone like perfect, and sometimes things need to go perfect to win, but you know, we have had some things go our way, so we're gonna keep going. This was it right here. This is the only thing, and it wasn't even that bad. So Brent gets bit right by the boat. It wasn't some giant. It probably would have culled, and right now we've got over 20, so it probably would have culled. It was a decent 4 something. And he bit right by the boat. You could tell he didn't even have much time to do with it. Brent and me usually know each other, and I ran to the back quick, and I saw that I couldn't get there in time. I get right at the boat, and instantly, you know, they fight, right? And it instantly went to the back, which was where I was running. But I didn't want to go for it because I kind of thought he was going to flip it, and because I guess I should have said something, because I should have said, hey, I can't get to it, and I can't get there fast enough, because I was running as fast as I could with the net, but we're talking 2 seconds. And I thought, man, it's probably safer if he just boat flips it, and I probably should have said, hey, Brent, just boat flip it. He thought I could get back there in time, and it just didn't. He kind of let it, he was trying to fight it right there and have it stay there for me to go get it, and it just came off. It wasn't anyone's fault. It's just, you know, it's just one of those deals. That's the only fish. We have caught over 50 fish today, 70 in the tournament. It's the only one that really even mattered a little bit. It really wasn't even like gonna be our top 3 biggest fish. But, you know, every ounce counts, right? That's it. That's the only blunder we had. The only one in 2 days. It's a pretty good tournament if you ask me. We keep fishing. It doesn't really get that much better. We get a couple bites. I catch one out in the grass right here. We kind of thought, okay, we know there's something out in that grass, in the sense of there's so much of it, and if we had more time we could probably figure it out, and we would probably start doing that today. Like, say we had another day, we would have probably spent the last hour messing around out there, not worried about if we catch them or not, trying to learn something for the next day. Say we had another day, right? But we didn't have that. So we look around and go, all right, now we got less than an hour, 45 minutes tops, maybe 30. Let's go to that island. We got to catch one there, right? So we're trying to figure out where to start on it, because we don't know if we have enough time to go around it. We've seen people around there, but we don't know. We don't know. I'm like, oh, let's just go here. And we pull up to it. We thought it was going to look better than what it did. It looked pretty good, but it wasn't the same. But we're still going to fish it, right? We don't have any other option. So we start fishing it, and nothing, kind of. Oh, wait a minute. What are we talking about? Of course we're going to catch one on the island. We had said we were going to catch one on the island. This is what we've been waiting on.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just saying, like. He's going. Get him. Oh, got him, dude. I didn't know he was that big. I didn't know he was
That's Debo, son.
I didn't know he was that big.
Woo! He was that big. Did you? God dang, when I couldn't hardly get him in the freaking net.
Oh, I
knew
know
he was
that
big.
sucks. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, dang, dude.
Okay, so we got 4 over here now. That's our 4th biggest one. Oh, let's see. 4th biggest one. Look, the other 2 are big.
There you go. We called it. We called it that we were going to catch one on that thing. And it was another freaking big one, right? Another one over 5. And we're going, it kind of surprised us because it didn't blow up very hard. I didn't even think it was that big. And we didn't really know it till, like Brent said, he goes, man, I knew it was big when I could barely get it in the net. So now we're going, man, like, we got a bag. Can we win it? No. We probably knew we couldn't have. We knew we needed like an 8 to 10 pounder to even have a shot or something like that. But we gave it a good run. Like, we caught a pretty big bag. We go fish around the island. We never get another bite, just one. That was the only one, but it was a big one. It's the right call. So we left to go fish new water and cold 2 or 3 times with bigger ones and had a shot at another one. I'd say our decision was pretty good. But wait a minute, we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's go see if we can go make magic happen on that other spot. We roll the other spot. We fish it hard. We kind of expect to get bit. We have minutes, maybe 5 minutes left, and we're throwing top waters and we're cranking and we are just hitting right that little section. And we're going, okay. And I look down, I'm like, Brent, we are pushing it again. I mean, we got a big bag and we are pushing it. So we looked at each other, called it a day. Run back to the weigh-in with about a minute left again, as usual. Roll up in there and go, hey man, we gave it a heck of a run. Like, if there was ever a chance where we put like a run on them, this was it. Go to weigh-in, weights are down. And none of those big weights like yesterday. They had dropped. Now, there were still some guys that caught them, and even a buddy of mine, give a shout out to Anthony Jones, he caught a big bag. We were laughing in line because I was like, man, this is going to be close. I think they had 22.38 and we had 22.32 or something. It was like by 0.06. So that he made a pretty good comeback. They just needed to do a little bit better on day 1, but they came back on day 2. So we had, I think the biggest bag that day was a 22-pound bag. So like we were right there again. So we moved up, ended up finishing 5th. Pretty good. Texas Team Trail, ended up 4th overall in Angler of the Year. Shout out to Russell Lee and Landon Ware, the guys we were jacking with earlier in the morning. They ended up winning Angler of the Year. I've known Russell for a little bit, known Landon for a long time now. Wish I didn't, because yeah, no, I like old Landon, man. Oh, Squatch. Congrats to those guys. Overall, it was a good event. Learned a lot, figured out some stuff. It's a fun event to do. This was a very fun series to make. I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I hope y'all guys have too. It's not necessarily over. The series is. I'm gonna end it right here. What I'm gonna do though is this. Some guys really like this. I'm gonna go over pretty much everything we threw or caught fish on in practice in the tournament. Just gonna go over what it is, exactly what they were, and what rod, reel, line, things like that. If you're interested in that, I'm gonna go do that. Before I do that, I don't know which video is first, but I'm gonna go back and go things that I've learned or wish I could have done differently. And what that means is I don't look back on things and go, you know, mad at myself. No, I have some ideas about that grass. I have some ideas about what went on that it wasn't our fault that we didn't figure out. We didn't figure it out. If you notice, I talked a lot about not getting bites on the Chapo, right? For a long time. I still stayed with it. I still stayed with it, and it paid off. I put that in there on purpose. There are things I put in there about how we didn't hardly catch any cranking, yet Brent still doesn't mind throwing a crankbait and catches a giant at the end of the day with minutes left. There's still some things I think we missed, and it's impossible to ever know. I will say this. We didn't think a morning bite was really going on. I thought there was in the grass when I first got there, but it didn't ever seem to really be good. And like I said, when you catch 50 or 60 in the grass and it doesn't pan out as big ones, you tend to stop doing it, right? So there's all kinds of these things that like still threw me for a loop, even when it was all said and done. I still had some confidence to do it, but I did talk to a buddy of mine. He lives around there. He called me up and asked me how I did. I told him. He was like, dang, man. I said, hey, you got to go check it out over there. Like, so I kind of gave him the areas to go fish. 10 o'clock in the morning, the next morning, he calls me. He said, Todd, it's ridiculous in the morning time. He said, it got bad later on in the day. And when he says later on in the day at 10, we found it at 10 and started catching them. He said he was usually done every day by 10, and the next day he had like 26 pounds. So there's no telling what we could have had if we'd have found it any other day in practice or earlier in the day. But that's just how fishing goes. And that's what's pretty cool about stuff like that. It's not always about winning, guys. It's just about figuring stuff out and learning in the process. Sometimes it's going to be your tournament, sometimes it's not. But if you can take something away from that tournament, man, it's a success. Stick around, watch some of the other things that are going to come from this, and yeah, never know. I'm going to do all kinds of stuff. You know me. All right, guys. See y'all in the deep waters.